Welcome. Thanks for joining. Today is going to be the start of me giving my dating philosophy to the world. However, I'm going to keep it simple in today's video. Today's video, I'm strictly going over what I'm looking for in a woman, okay, and in the dating realm. So, again, today's video is what I'm looking for in dating. I'm gonna actually throw this in quotation marks. You'll see why in just a second. And the next video is more or less gonna probably be part 2. This is gonna be more or less part 1. Part 2 is gonna be me and where I'm at with women and how I got here. So, kind of give you a little bit of history on what I've gone through and where I want to go. So stay tuned for that. That'll be the next one. And the following one is going to explain probably what I'm touching on today. Again, today I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible, because I can definitely just talk and veer off and go into extra detail and explanation. So I'm going to try to mine that for you guys today. So like I said, we'll keep it simple today, kind of then go into the next video of, myself, where I'm at with women. And like I said, on the third one, we'll at least go into a little bit more detail so the philosophy starts to become clearer. And then following ones, we'll just add more and more philosophy, so we can get a clearer picture of what this dating philosophy that I'm talking about is, okay? If you're ready to go on the journey with me, hey, hop in, let's go. So, what I'm looking for in dating. I don't like this word. It's not that I don't like it. It has its time and its place, but for the most part, it's not really descriptive, okay? It's not descriptive enough. So I don't think most titles that we have in, different relationships, I don't think they're most of the time descriptive enough. That's beside the point. Let me just get into this, okay? So if we're talking dating, what do I mean? I like to break that down. So dating, I'm just going to put it up here. All right, so opposite sex, sexual interaction, okay? This is a phrase that I've pretty much termed myself, right? Like, you're not gonna hear this combination anywhere else. This is exclusive shit, okay? But what I'm the reason why I want to, talk about opposite sex sexual interaction is we wanna put this in our vocabulary, because it's definitely gonna be important for the future understanding of where this dating philosophy that I'm talking about is going to go. So, again, to laser in, it is just a little bit more accurate when we're talking opposite sex sexual interaction. And again, some people might be like, what do you mean opposite sex? What about the same sex? Well, look, we're not going into this video. That'll be later in the philosophies. We'll talk about those things also. Not here to be politically correct in this video, okay? So, how do babies get here, right? Man and a woman, okay? So, what we're gonna talk about is opposite sex sexual interaction. And I'm heterosexual, straight male, so we're definitely talking opposite sex sexual interaction, okay? So, that can pretty much be interchanged for dating, in my opinion, okay? Or basically in the vocabulary of how I'm gonna, present this, right? So what I'm looking for in opposite sex sexual interaction. What I'm looking for in opposite sex sexual interaction. That would be more of an accurate statement for what we're going to go through today, okay? And one other thing that I want to mention about opposite sex sexual interaction is, let's just break it down, right? Opposite sex, so that equates a man and a woman, sexual interaction. Sex is on the table, right? And I do like to go a little bit further than that and say, because some people will be like, we're dating and they haven't had sex yet. And then some people will say we're dating and they're clearly having sex. So basically in the first example, that's insinuating sex is a potential, right? They're dating, they're just not sure, she's not sure, you know, we're not gonna get into all of that shit. But sex is on the table, right? And again, clearly sex is on the table for the second example in when people say they're dating when they're having sex, right? So it's important to see that, again, when we talk about opposite sex sexual interaction, it's a different type of relationship than we have with any other relationship that we have, okay? Because sex is on the table, okay? You can have, you know, same-sex interactions. You can have opposite-sex interactions. You can have parents. You can have teachers. You can have, you know, friends. You know, what's the commonality of the thing that you're not doing with them? Sex, okay? So opposite sex sexual interaction, this is a very, very much overlooked concept in what's really going on. A lot of people will start to see, you know, love and romance and sex and just really blend everything together and not clarify what is what's going on, what are my needs, you know, all of the above. So again, opposite sex sexual interaction. I just want to make that clear that that's a man and a woman and sex is on the table, okay? So with that said, what do you think one of the things I'm looking for in an opposite sex sexual interaction? Sex. That wasn't very hard to guess on that one, right? Well, look, before we get into that, what we're about to be going over, okay, is basic initial structure. Okay, this is basic initial structure that we're about to cover. So, you know, what does that mean? Basically what that is a qualification. These are the things that if you're going to be involved in the dating philosophy with me, these are basically the things that, the requirements that have to be met if you want to date me. So, sex, okay, that's one thing. Now, if we're talking about sex, I'm going to actually be a little bit more particular here. So, one, it's got to be good, tight pussy, okay? That loose puss. All right, that's a must. All right, and good sexual involvement. So in sexual category, that's basically what I'm looking for there, okay? Also, can't be overlooked. I'm the worst speller, you'll understand that, but we make it work. So again, somebody's gonna have to be attractive also. I don't mean, to be shallow or anything like that. We'll actually talk further about, what I think is attractive and not, in deeper context in later videos. My evolution of, kind of what I used to like or what I like now and kind of how I got there. But I will just kind of throw it out there. I don't have a type, okay? So just to let you know, short, tall, thick, slim, thick. I mean, color, age, I don't have a type. And again, we'll explain further in a lot of these categories, but just know, there's a lot of attractive women in their own unique way, right? And sometimes you can't compare certain qualities. Now, certain guys do have certain preferences. And I like to think that a lot of those preferences I just kind of faded away, but it's kind of hard to explain in this short segment here. Long story short, if we're talking about, sex, looking for an opposite sex sexual interaction, definitely looking for sex, definitely looking for a woman that's attractive, good sexual involvement. So that's, I guess I glossed over that real quick. So like during sex, like you'd be surprised. There's a lot of women that are bad in bed. So won't elaborate on it, but hopefully a person understands. Actually, we'll throw just one example out. There's somebody who's just, we'll call them a bump on the log, who's just laying there and, her energy is not connecting with the sexual energy and, she's just relaxed and, off in la la land somewhere else in her head or something like that, right? Like that's not sexually involved. So, these are definitely what I'm looking for: tight pussy, good sexual involvement, be attractive. So there's also something else that I want to talk about. Two things, and then we'll see how the structure breaks off of that, okay? So we can say level of being evolved and level of taking direction. Okay, so level of being evolved, how evolved the woman is. She can be highly evolved, right? High, low, right? You got a spectrum, right, of a woman's evolution, right? High to low, and you got a level of taking direction. High to low. And this obviously is a little bit more situational, because obviously there could be a woman that's, can highly take direction, but she'd be very low in taking direction for the wrong person, if you will. If, the person is not somebody she should be taking direction from, why would she be highly, taking that person's direction? So just to throw that out there. But again, what a person with a low level taking direction, they're real stubborn, right? That's a real fucking stubborn person. Especially when they're in the presence of somebody who it's okay to follow that person's, direction. It's like if you go to work and your boss tells you to do something, maybe that's when you do it, but again, you'll realize some people are so stubborn that they don't give a fuck who tells them. They're not doing anything, right? So that's a low level of taking direction in the person. But we're not going to harp on that, okay? Just want to kind of show these two because we're going to, again, make a structure on these. There's one more thing I want to mention, okay? And that is basically leadership, okay? The concept of wisdom, real quick. Like I said, didn't want to get into too much of an explanation, but I can't really go over this without going over this part. So just let's take a random example of somebody who doesn't drive and doesn't know how to drive, and somebody that drives and knows how to drive. We'll call that understanding or knowing how to drive. We'll call that wisdom, like that's driving wisdom, and the other person doesn't have driver's wisdom, right? So if these two people are going to go someplace together, who should be driving, right? It's clear the person with the wisdom should volunteer because they know that they have more wisdom over the other person, and the other person should be very much humble and say, hey, I don't have driving wisdom, would you drive, right? So the point here is wisdom and following and leaders, which again, we're not going to get deep into that concept in this video. I'm just going to very much briefly touch this because I think that you'll find in this world, in our modern day, there's a lot of ideas of what a leader is and what a follower is and how that whole process works, which I will speak on in probably one of the most unique ways that you've ever heard. But today, like I said, we're going to keep it simple and just say that we should defer to wisdom to lead. Okay? Just, entertain that idea for this video. So, again, you have lead. We'll say you lead. Say shared leadership. And we'll say I lead. So, long story short, the person who has the highest level of wisdom, okay, again, this is part of the philosophy. If you want to buy into the philosophy, this will be one of the concepts that we'll get familiar with, okay, that the person with the highest level, there's two things. There's a level of wisdom and there's also an area in life. Because again, just in that example of the person driving, you wouldn't expect the person who has driving wisdom to lead in every area of the person who doesn't have the driving wisdom. Maybe overall, the person who doesn't drive has way more wisdom in more areas than the person who does drive. So we would defer to them in those areas since they have higher levels of wisdom. So the highest level of wisdom leads. If a woman has higher level wisdom than me, I'm going to defer to her leadership and just know that, okay? Judgment is extremely important. That's another reason why leadership and followship is a little twisted in our current society. Just because people have bad judgment. Some people will think that their wisdom surpasses another person's wisdom, and it just doesn't. It's like they're just delusional or something. But again, we're not going to talk too much about that. Shared leadership, that is going to be equal, right? So say they both have equal driving skills. Well, hey, this person's tired, why don't you drive? If that person's tired, why don't they drive? So you can share the responsibility because the wisdom level is on an equal playing field, okay? So it's good to share leadership and followership in those roles. Those are actually some of the most optimal relationships, okay? But like I said, we're not gonna go into that. I lead. If my level of wisdom is higher in whatever area, then I will take the lead and the person will take the follow, okay? Now, again, just want to introduce these concepts of kind of leadership in a relationship, somebody following, somebody leading, level of a woman being evolved, and a level of a woman taking direction, okay? So ultimately, with that, you're going to get levels of opposite sex sexual interactions that I'm open to. We're going to actually start off with two categories. Long term, short term. All right. So long term and short term is the type of opposite sex sexual interactions a woman will have with me, okay? At this point in my life, it would be nice to focus on long-term interaction, opposite sex sexual interactions. But you know, whatever life has for me, that's what life has for me. But it would be nice. But again, it's not like I'm just looking for this long-term interaction. And it's not like I'm just looking for short-term interaction. So with that being said, let's look at the long-term for a quick second. When I say long-term, I don't mean your traditional boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, okay? I don't think we covered that, but if you are looking for the traditional, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, date and get married and, you know, just us and we live happily ever after, white picket fence and, you know, this whole fantasy. And I, you know, don't even want to call it a fantasy to offend anybody, but that whole structure, if that's what you're looking for and you're not open to anything else, then you might as well just move on, at least with me. Now, if you want to, still watch and, for informational purposes, go for it. But any woman thinking that she's ever going to get me like that, that's not happening. Okay. And you'll find out, but again, can a woman still get me long term? Absolutely. Will a woman have all of her needs met? Majority of her needs met? Will have more needs met than she will have in any other opposite sexual interaction that she has? Give a shit if it's a husband and a wife. Okay? No. She will have the highest level of needs met in my long-term structure. Okay? She will have the highest level of needs met in my long-term structure. Okay, I just want to say that. But again, I do want to clarify that a woman has to be open. If you want to date me in a long-term sense, okay? And again, I would like to be focused on that. A woman has to be open to a non-traditional, she's got to be open to something different. Okay, and not just that, she has to want what I'm offering. Okay, most women listening, even right now, wouldn't want what I'm offering at face value that I'm offering. Just like at this video with their current beliefs, with their experiences and everything. It's like if I were to say, hey, here, you want this? They'd be like, no, I'm on something completely else. Now, do I know it's me against the world right now? Absolutely. There's no doubt about it, but somebody's got to do it, okay? Somebody's got to do what I'm doing. I don't even want to, again, get too deep into some of the philosophies, but women manifested me. They manifested what I'm doing right now, and it's because women are not happy. okay? Most people are not happy in their relationship, like really ecstatically fulfilled, okay? They have happy moments, or parts of it is happy, or some of it's shitty, and they just stay together. But the point here is, women have been trying to figure out a way to be happy. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. But again, if we're going long term, a woman has to want what I'm offering and believe and buy into this philosophy that I'll be presenting over time. Okay? So that's the best way I can say that. Is if a woman, all right, we'll say it another way. Okay, I'm looking for a woman to, because again, most women, this is going to be completely foreign at first glance. Like, they've never seen anything quite in this manner. Some things may be similar, but nothing quite in this pattern and how everything's put together. So what I'm going to ask is that person to suspend all their judgment and belief, to go through the process, experience it, and then make their judgment if that's something that's for them or not afterwards. So this is extremely strong. If we're talking long term with me, a person's gonna really have to suspend their judgments and beliefs, test something new out, see if they like it, and then if they don't like it, I literally want that person to exit on good terms and say, this isn't for me. But don't try to change me or be bitter that I didn't change or something like that, or, oh, I wanted you all to myself and I never could. Like, no, okay? Just go. Now, if a person ends up realizing, hey, I didn't even see that coming. My brain never thought to put myself in a structure like that, and I thought I'd be thriving. And you go in and you like it. Well, you'll want it at that point. I'm not sitting here trying to talk you into something. That's one thing that I will not do. I am not here to talk a woman into doing what I want. I am here presenting a philosophy, and I want her to want to do things that way because that's what she wants for herself. Not because I'm asking her, not because I want her to. Sure, I want her to. I'm telling you what I'm looking for, and I'm telling you exactly if I get it this way, I would like it that way, right? Doesn't mean a person has to do it. And I definitely don't want a person to do it just because I want them to do it. I want them to do it because they want to do it. And I can just tell you right now that you'll never know if you want to do it, first, until you see the philosophy, and second, until you experience the philosophy. Because there's only so much you can intellectualize of what you would like or what you wouldn't like. Some things in life we have to experience. I would love somebody to explain sex to you, and a person hasn't had sex. You gotta have it. Some experiences you just have to have to know. Now, with all that being said, let me try to get back on focus. So you got long term and you got short term. Okay, so we've got some more up here. I just filled in some of the structure that will come from this that I'll explain. So, again, we have long term. So the type of women that I would be open to long term, relationship, if you will, is highly evolved. If a woman's highly evolved, and here's the whole thing about this spectrum of women be evolved, I'm not going to get into the details of what an evolved woman or a low evolved woman is. If it's a woman that knows 1 + 1 = 2 or whatever. Long story short, we'll go with that thing of like a woman really growing, right? She's really worried about her personal growth, and she's putting work and effort and really, developing herself, right? Like, that's basically what an evolved woman is. Not to go into too much detail. But again, that level of evolution, okay, we'll have a highly evolved woman. Now, I would be the first to say, again, it it would be a challenge for me. I'll just throw it out there. If there was a woman that was more evolved than me in a lot of areas and we had an opposite sex sexual interaction, I almost say it can't work because of the nature of masculine and feminine energy. So I really just want to say, first of all, I don't even think it's out there. Not to toot my horn or be arrogant or anything like that, which that statement definitely sounds like that, not to offend any women. But you'll see, as in the philosophy, you'll see the wisdom that's going to come out. And you can, if you have good judgment, you'll be able to compare, is my wisdom higher in these levels than this person? Would I take the lead or should I give the lead and learn and grow to get to that level so then we can have shared leadership? I said I don't want to get too deep into the philosophy and leader and follow. That'll be some of the next things. So again, we're just going to go with the example of a woman being more equally evolved on the level that I am, okay? So that we'll call her a highly evolved woman, okay? And we will have we'll do the shared leadership, we both can trust each other because we both would be wise, and I can let that person lead, they can let me lead. It doesn't matter. We're going to have good results, or we're going to have the best results that we both can get to the level of our wisdom. So, not gonna front. That's probably a rare one. But again, we'll talk more about my long term and what I'm focused on and things. But again, I just want to kind of, in general, explain what the type of women and the type of interactions, opposite sex sexual interactions that I'm open to, the different type of women there are, and which would equate to the type of interaction that I would have. So again, highly evolved woman. Obviously we'd have shared leadership working together. Low evolved woman, and again, there's a spectrum there, but low evolved woman, obviously I lead, okay? Now, not just a low evolved woman, but a low evolved woman and high in taking direction, okay? So this is really kind of major. Honestly, I think that this, for most women, if they want to date me, we need to kind of be looking at this. That, again, let's look at the example of the driver wisdom and the person that doesn't know how to drive. Well, once that person, that person that's driving that knows how to drive and drives good, they can teach the person that doesn't drive, okay, to drive just as well as them. Then they're both, on equal wisdom of driving, for better words. Now they are equal. But there was a time that one person had to follow, and there was a time that one person had to lead, okay? Now, depending on how quick one person wants to gain wisdom in an area is going to determine how quick they get on an equal wisdom level with another person, and they can have shared leadership, or they might surpass that person in that area of wisdom and have the other person, have to defer to them, okay? So again, low evolved women have to be good in highly taking direction, because at the end of the day, she'll be following my lead. So, and again, we're talking long term. You only see two options here, okay? Now again, requirement, sex, good tight pussy, good sexual involvement, and be attractive. That is kind of like a default, okay, for the opposite sex sexual interaction that I'm looking for. Now, on a long term, again, gotta have that, but how we would interact long term is either, hey, somebody's either evolved and we kind of share leadership, or a woman just is good at taking direction. So she's good at sex and attractive and, tight pussy and all of that, but she just follows my lead. I can do that, okay? Now, that is very humbling. That's a very humbling process. Because with that, there's two things here. There's either a woman that says, okay, I want to grow, and, you know, I'm way down here in my evolution and I want to get up there. So I am willing to submit and follow your direction, you know, if you will, because I want to get where you want to go, where you're at. That's a real humble woman. It's very rare, you know. But there's another type that I would still be open to, and that's just like one that pretty much just said, fuck it. Like, you know, I'm just living life. I'm not here to learn. I'm not going to grow in any significant ways, but I fuck with you. I don't know why that type of woman, you know, again, I could see her wanting the type of positivity and the aura and the, you know, spiritualness and, you know, that part in her life. But I just see us clashing overall if, you know, she just doesn't want to grow and doesn't want to evolve. Now, again, I don't have to have these high-level conversations with a woman, okay? Like, a woman can just come through the door and she could just start cooking and start cleaning and, you know, hi, how was your day? You know, not worried about any of the complexities of the things that I'm talking about. She's just okay living a simple life. Like, she's probably not thriving or super happy, but she doesn't want to put the work in to grow, right? But she wants to support my journey for some reason, we'll say. I don't want to quite say like servant status, but that would be kind of how that relationship would work, right? It would be like, hey, I need this, do this, or whatever. You know, she's, you know, more or less there to, you know, serve my needs because she's following my direction, right? You know, I've got the best interest at hand for us, better words. It's a little tricky, right? Because, you know, there's a lot of subtleties, for better words. But again, you know, she wants to grow and she's low, and, you know, she wants to follow my direction. So, you know, to get to an equal status, cool. If, you know, she's already in at an equal status and we can share, cool. And again, if she just wants to, you know, and I hate to offend, but I just have to try to explain what I'm trying to explain. You know, she wants to kind of be as dumb as a box of rocks. Cool. You know, I'm not here to judge like that. You know, if she can add value to my life, right? If a person's adding value to my life, I always say, and this is something we'll find in future philosophies that I'll talk about, you know, you know, a lot of people, I talk to people and like, oh yeah, I'm in a period of, you know, I'm cutting everybody off in my life. And, you know, like I said, not going to get too deep, but one of the things you'll find is because that person, you know, the people that they're cutting off is the people aren't on everything that they're on, you know, so like how they're making money, how they believe in God, how they, you know, go about their relationships, or, you know, how they care or don't care, you know, they'll be, you know, really extrapolating the whole of a person and see that whole of a person not on what they're on, and they just don't fuck with them no more. I come to this theory of, you know, and you'll find, you know, life is really slim pickings in a general sense, okay, of quality people in your life. So I don't want to say to not end up lonely, but a skill or a tool that we can employ is to not look at people in a whole sense. Sometimes I give an example of, like, say, one of my guys, he's not intellectual, but he likes playing basketball. I like playing basketball. So, you know, when I'm around him, I don't talk about, you know, all this crazy concepts. We hoop. You know, I don't want to cut him off in my life because he's not on everything that I'm on. So, again, to the person who's lowly, more low involved and not trying to grow, but wants to add value to my life, it's kind of like that. It's like that person still can have a benefit in my life just because I can't have them, you know, certain interactions on higher levels and this, that, and the other, or I can't, you know, I can't teach them and they're trying to grow. Doesn't mean I can't interact with them. Like, doesn't mean they don't have good pussy, type pussy that's evolved, that, you know, we still benefit from each other. It might still outweigh some bullshit that whatever else life has to offer her, and from her perspective of what she's encountered out here. But again, I don't want to call anybody a servant or anything, but that would be the nature of that relationship. And that's long term, right? So that sums up long term. Short term, let's get straight to it, right? I mean, if we're talking short term, that's just sex, right? That's just sex. So, you know, we'll talk a little bit here. So if we've got, really can be both. Doesn't matter. It could be a highly evolved woman or a low level evolution. I don't know what the fuck, how I'm really trying to say. I don't know why I'm calling it low evolution, but whatever. You know, she's low evolved, or high evolved. If she can't take direction, then, you know, she's not long term, right? She's not long term. We're going to be clashing. We're going to be fighting. You know, this person basically doesn't really understand the concept of higher, you know, of wisdom in an area, and, you know, proper yielding of leadership and proper following, and the whole nature of those type of relationships, which, you know, we'll talk, you know, later in the future. But, which is going to be kind of hard for her to be highly evolved, honestly, and not know some of these concepts that I'm talking about. I mean, I dispute, you know, that she was highly evolved if she didn't, you know, understand when to follow and when to lead, and, you know, the whole nature of that. So anyhow, to sum it up though, doesn't matter if she's highly evolved or lowly evolved, if she can't take direction, or she doesn't buy into this philosophy that I'm giving, right? Because again, you know, I'm giving a whole philosophy. A chick might be like, hey, you know, that's all cool. I see you're trying to do something good for humanity and women and things like that. However, I'm not on that. And, you know, but hey, I heard you was blowing chicks' backs out. So, hey, can I fuck? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not here to, you know, deprive anybody of the dick, right? So, you know, again, you know, they might just want sex. So, I'm open to that, you know, short term. And short term, you know, could, you know, be, you know, simple as one and done, or, you know, short term could be, you know, I can still offer friendship, right? I just can't offer the long-term interaction, like in opposite sex sexual interaction, right? Because there's just going to be too much clashing with the, you know, if she doesn't buy into the philosophy, if she's not, you know, any good at, you know, following or taking direction, for better words, you know, like I said, it doesn't matter if she's highly or low evolved. We're just going to be clashing too much for it to be long term. Okay. So again, you know, it's just sex in that scenario. And, you know, also, like I said, I mean, we can throw in friends, right? You know, talk from time to time. We understand we can't do nothing long term or whatever. We're just not, you know, seeing eye to eye, or, you know, in the same places in life or whatever. But again, she, you know, want that back blown out. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you feel me? So, again, this is just to sum up long term, short term. Let's kind of give a little review. I'm just feeling froggy like that, so let's jump. So again, what I'm looking for in opposite sex sexual interactions, this is kind of the basic structure, okay? Again, we've got sex, good type pussy, good sexual involvement, she's got to be attractive. And, you know, again, this was kind of just you know, the level of involvement, level of taking direction. I lead, shared leadership, you lead, that whole thing. But again, more or less for what I'm looking for, long term or short term. And again, the type of woman that I would be okay with long term is highly evolved. Once you have shared leadership, low evolved is fine. As long as she, high in taking direction, if you will, which I would be doing the majority of the leading in those interactions. And it's not like I lead everything, like I said, I have to give more context, it's like she drives, she drives well. You can have a low evolved woman that drives well. So, I drive well, so we're technically equal in that area. I don't need to lead. We can share, so it's not like, everything's 100% exact. You always got to see gray areas. You always have to be able to, make interpretations against this charts and stuff like that. They're just to, lay context and foundation and structure, right? Basic initial structure. So again, that's long term. And again, short term, it's basically just sex, right? Short term is basically just sex. And, again, she can be high or low, but if she can't take direction or, doesn't know how to work with another person, or doesn't buy into philosophy, then, she can, and again, she can also, have friendship, okay? Now, again, this is with sex, tight pussy, good sexual involvement, and being attractive also, okay? So, and again, I'm not touching too deep on all of this stuff. I could definitely talk. I don't want you to think I'm a really shallow person, but we can talk more about the women that I would be open to just having sex with. So, we'll go over just a couple more things real quick. I'll just shoot through a couple more things, and then we'll be done with this first edition here. So let's give a quick little sum up here, especially if we're talking like long term, okay? Try to say this as simple as possible without all of this. I think all of this helps, but I think I can just say it in a statement. What I'm looking for long term is good pussy, tight, sexually involved, attractive woman that is either highly evolved or knows how to take direction, right? Think that's simple as said, right? An attractive woman, good pussy, tight, involved, and she's either highly evolved or if not, she's good at taking direction. And that's what I would be looking for interacting with a woman long term. And if we were to put short term in a nutshell, we could say something like an attractive woman, good pussy, tight, sexually involved, however, may want me sexually for whatever reasons, but she's not with the philosophy, she's not with taking direction or, anything like that. She may just, want to talk, be friends, or may not be open to, growing or evolving or, whatever. Long story short, chick just wants some dick, okay? Now, that actually leads us into the next thing, okay? And that is woman not being difficult. All right. That's a pretty general term. It's loaded. Like I said, we don't have time in this video to go through all of the philosophy. This can be super elaborated on. I'm going to try to sum this up and just say, ultimately a woman who is making things easy, available, and we'll just say making things easy and available, makes yourself easy and available. Okay, so I've just written down women not being difficult, okay? Easy, available, okay? So that kind of segments from the short term with a woman just wanting sex, okay? However, it still applies for a woman long term, okay? Whether it's long term, which obviously we're still gonna be having sex, and if it's short term, which we would be having sex, a woman just cannot be difficult about that process, okay? So it's more than that. It's really about the initial getting to know somebody. I always say it's called the get in with a woman phase, okay? So me personally, once I'm in with a woman, she probably never wants to get rid of me, all right? Just with my experience I've had. Now, maybe she does, I don't know. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. But the point is it's that time before you get in. So just for an example, imagine, a guy getting your number, okay? He's calling you, he's trying to get your attention. At the very beginning, when man meets woman, okay, that's typically where the game is played, okay? So what you'll find is what I'm trying to do is avoid that, okay? So that's actually what I want to write here. No games. Okay, so no games. So basically, whether it's just sex or whether you're pursuing a woman, long-term relationship or whatever, what a lot of men find is women are just being difficult, okay? Now, there's levels to this. Everything in life is situational, you'll find. So one thing I'd like to apply here just for, females that listening to me, like, what is he talking about? It doesn't go that way for me because I'm always so aggressive and I just go, get a man. That's about the only way a woman's not really difficult is when she wants a man. The more she wants a man, the easier she's gonna make it for him, the more available she's gonna make, and she's not gonna play any games. And I know we all know what the hell, the dating game. Anybody in the dating game, knows about all the little things that go on, okay? From, I'm not going to respond first because I'm a girl to, I'm going to make them wait or, all these crazy random things that happen. Long story short, with me, if you want to date me, long-term or short-term, okay? And this is actually probably a shocker. Like, this is going to be the thing that is going to be kind of hard for, women to really wrap their, hands around because they're so used to doing things a certain way, okay? And here's kind of like I was telling, this is what I'm open for, and if you fall in this category, this is what could potentially be. This stuff is more or less out of a person's control. Like, they probably just have good pussy or they're attractive. Like, all this stuff up until what we're going over right now. What we're going over now is kind of the things that a woman has in her control and how she decides to interact with the man. All I'm saying is, if you want to date me, we're gonna make things. You're gonna make things easy. You're gonna make yourself available, and there's not gonna be any games. Now, again, we're not gonna talk too much about this in this video. It'll be later ones, later philosophy talks. But I get, even some women just open for sex. Like, there's a sexual tension that's in the game sometimes that they enjoy. I get it. We're just not playing it with me. If that's what you need, then that's not me, okay? For better words, matter of fact, let's throw it on here. Sex quickly. Fuck it. Hit first night. Okay, so bottom line is we've got sex quickly. So again, this is an opposite sex sexual interaction. Okay. Now again, man, woman meets. I always like to give an example. We'll give a quick example real quick. I think that, women will be able to relate to this. Man calls woman, they end up having a good conversation for an hour and vibe, and then they go meet for a drink, and everything's still going vibing, and then they end up going back to the house and maybe having a drink or whatever, just still vibing, and get straight to the bedroom and fuck. Okay, so we're not gonna judge that. We're not gonna say if those two people were just one night standing it or relationshiping it or whatever. Just as a side note, I don't believe sex on one night only equates to short term. Okay, sex on the first night easily can go long term, and that's fine. That's a misconception that we have, but again, it's definitely a misconception that we have with me. Okay, maybe not other men, but for me, it would be completely different. Okay, I always just say, anything you're trying to apply to me, it's not really going to be applicable, because I'm very much different than other men. And that's actually going to be the last thing that I'm going to tell you about all of this, is that none of this will work with any other man but me. So that is almost like an alert. Please don't try this with another guy. Please don't try to get smart and take what you want and try to fit it in somewhere to something that you're trying to make work that doesn't look anything the way I'm trying to make work, because just ain't gonna work that way. So again, just to talk about, opposite sex sexual, sex is on the table, right? Whether it's long or short term, but either or, like I said, I don't want a woman being difficult, right? I'm not playing the games. Be available, make things easy, right? Make conversation easy, make meeting up easy, make having sex easy. Yes, I get it. I said, trust me, I don't want to get into this one on this first video, but I'm just letting you know what I'm looking for, okay? If that's not something that you can do, then I'm probably not a good match, right? Again, still welcome to listen if for informational purposes. It's fine. I literally, either or, it's fine. So when we talk about sex quickly, like I said, hitting on the first night, nothing wrong, okay? Bottom line is, when we talk about hit on the first night, that just seems the most probable way things would go if things are easy or available and there's no games, okay? That's just, if a woman's not being difficult with me and makes herself easy, available, no games, what you'll find is we're probably just fucking on the first night. And that's fine. I don't want that to be boring and predictable for the woman or whatever. But there is one other thing I do want to mention about that. Because this is like, sure, maybe there's a woman who wants to fuck me and she's like, here, come over or fuck me. And it's that simple. Okay, I'm still male, okay? As long as the standards are met or whatever. But let's be realistic, that's not the way how most women even want to fuck, even if they're fucking on the first night. So again, if, I were to, meet up with a woman and, I'm just completely disinterested and there's no vibe and I'm like, hey, come back to the house, you responded, so you're supposed to fuck. Like, I'm not going to expect her, to fuck me, right? Like, this is a balance, right? This is actually a really hard one to articulate in this short version of just what I'm looking for without going into massive detail of the philosophy. So to keep things simple and short for now, no matter what, whether it's a long-term or short-term, we'll just make sure sex is quickly And again, if everything's flowing the way it's supposed to be flowing, there's probably no reason why we won't fuck on the first night. Is it a must? Everything in life is situational. I don't want to go into examples to state of why I wouldn't fuck on the first night. Again, I want to keep things simple. And again, just take the basic concepts of this, right? What we're looking for sexually, what we're looking for in a woman, and long-term and short-term interactions with the woman, and then how I want the interaction initially to go. Because again, I'm mentioning it, this is always at the beginning. I mean, put it like this: the guy who the boyfriend who you have that at the very beginning you made him wait, a month or something. Aren't you fucking every day after that? Once you start fucking, it's just like getting past that point. Which again, we'll talk about why women have that. So there's one last thing that I want to talk about. It's gonna be a little controversial. This whole shit's controversial, but the point here is a woman definitely looking for something different, okay, or can be open to something different, okay. A woman may be tired of the same old of doing the things the way she's doing and not getting the results she's looking for, and willing to switch it up. Long story short is this last one is pretty much focused. It still can fall in the short term woman, but this is focused on the long term. Okay, this is definitely focused on the long term woman. This last thing that I'm going to mention. So I'll just write it down. All right. So that's very interesting. Probably just raised a lot of eyebrows. Like, what's going on here? So again, I'm pretty sure I've already mentioned that, I'm not looking for a traditional relationship, right? So as far as, one man, one woman, they meet, wait a month to have sex, and then wait a year and get married, and do taxes, and live, have a baby and raise a family, and all of that stuff. Okay, and not necessarily that I'm not with all that stuff. I'm just trying to explain the way that we traditionally go about relationships, or wanting relationships, aka these exclusive interactions with one man and one woman. I'm not with, okay? So I'm just stating that. Now, what this is open to other women sexually, okay? Sexual bestie, okay? That's what that says, if you can't read that. Open, can you read? You should be able to read that, right? Yeah. Open to women sexually and sexual bestie, okay? So let me talk about what I mean by that. So, again, I have to reiterate, I can't go into too much detail about this topic in this video. I'm just trying to show the structure, the initial basic structure of what I'm looking for, okay? Now, later videos, things will be going into further detail. Now, open to women sexually, yes, I'm just gonna be straightforward. I'm looking for a woman who is attracted to other women, which what woman isn't, but not all women are attracted to other women enough to actually be sexual with them, okay? So the way, okay, now actually, like I said, like I said, I don't want to go into too much detail in this video, but I will throw this one out. I have a personal belief every woman has a level of bisexuality, okay? Not gayness. We're not talking about gay right now. We're talking about bisexuality, okay? And we're talking about a specific bisexuality that, yes, she likes men, and yes, she likes women. However, she doesn't like men and women in the same way. Like, she gets different needs met from women, and she gets different needs met from the man, okay? I think most of us can relate to an opposite sex sexual interaction, so the man and the woman part we get. Now, just to touch minorly without going into detail on the woman part, you know, I think a lot of us, you know, we see how, you know, women act in the locker rooms with each other, or touch each other's boobs, or hug each other, or kiss, you know, they're touchy-feely, and they, you know, that part, again, that you won't see in men, it's just not, there's not a nature in men of a natural bisexuality, from my personal belief, like you'll find a natural bisexuality in the nature of a woman. And it's literally just on a scale from like 1 to 10. I do like to point that out. Is, you know, some women are on 1 on how much they're attracted to the other women. Some women are on 10. Like men. Like, goddamn, chick walk in with a fat ass, or just super attractive, super hips, or something. She's like, damn, she looking just as hard as a man. Okay? And I honestly think all humans do appreciate attractive women. But again, we're not getting into too much detail of the philosophy in this video. Again, just try to reiterate what I'm looking for so we can at least move on from there. So again, woman has to be open to other women sexually. So clearly I'm looking for a woman, you know, maybe right now she hasn't, but she just hasn't went over the boundary yet. She's something she's interested in. It's just been too taboo or whatever, and she just hasn't moved forward with it. But say she has, you know, I mean, yeah. Do not want to even get into this topic right now, okay? Now, sexual besties, that's a little different, right? That's 2 women, 2 girls. That's the magic number, okay? That's the magic number for long term, all right? Now, we'll discuss later in the philosophy why that is, okay? And again, what I'm doing here for what I'm looking for isn't just satisfying my needs. This is literally satisfying the needs of a woman on the highest level that she's ever experienced in this life. So I do want to reiterate that part, okay? Because there is this one thing, again, wouldn't every guy like this? You know, it's one of those things. It's like, who is this guy? Wouldn't every guy like that? No, remember, this is the beginning structure. Not every guy would want this structure, one, okay? Would this sound nice? Sure. But this isn't what every guy's looking for, okay? This is specifically what I'm looking for, and for just cause, okay? And can get into it with the philosophy of how men and women can interact in 2023 in this current, you know, society. We can be the most happiest, live the most harmonious, and get the most needs met. This isn't personal, like, yes, personally, I want this structure, but this structure is based upon the truth of life that we all can apply. Now, you'll find why other guys do not need to see this right now. You'll see why you don't need to share it with other guys, why you don't need to try it with other guys when we get to the end of the philosophy, okay? But at this point, again, this only works for me, all right? Now, I do want to mention sexual besties, because ultimately, if we're talking long term, because this one down here is associated to the long term, okay? Woman can come one by herself. Maybe she's already got a bestie and then we all get together. Maybe I find one and then we bring them together. But ultimately, again, for the long term, that's the route we're going. I don't want a woman thinking that she's going to have me exclusively, just me and her. Again, when I said I need a woman who's open-minded, who's not looking for something traditional, very much serious. I don't want to get too deep in on this first video, but to be straightforward, again, what I'm looking for in the structure is a woman has to be open to other women sexually. And then to give you a better visual of sexual bestie, just imagine, a guy and two girls, and the girls are like super best friends, and they're with the guy, and it's like a trio, right? Everybody's having sex, everybody's having fun, period. It's not like, what I'm trying to specifically show you, it's not like is a woman, like say I'm dating one woman and then I'm dating another woman and they don't fuck with each other. That's not what I'm setting up at all, okay? Ultimately, the two women will have to be able to come together and be besties, if you will, okay? And again, we'll talk about this structure further because there's a lot more information that goes into all of this, all right? But again, if we sum it up, bad bitch, good pussy, sexually involved, highly evolved, or can take a good lead, or just trying to fuck. And if either or, trying to fuck obviously needs to be quick and, not difficult, no games. And, the woman has to be open to, if she's looking for a long term, for sure, she's looking for a long term with me, she has to be open to other women sexually and be open to a sexual bestie, okay? Now, I am very serious about this. I'm not deviating. I always say if a woman, wants to go through this structure and she finds out that it's not for her, just please don't try to change me, okay? And, I'm gonna get you out of myself. And, like a lot of women, just think, for me, I know a lot of women would love the challenge of, this guy thinks he wants all of this, but I'm gonna make him love me and want me and be exclusive with me and fall happily ever love. No, don't, that's one thing that I don't want a person to do. This is what you're signing up for, period. If not, keep it moving. Now, again, you may say, how in the fuck, Jared, did you get where you're at to want this? Stay tuned. Next video, part 2, I'm going to go into a little bit more of myself and my life path and with women and, what I've done and all the experiences, and basically to, like I said, to get to where I'm at. So, and then after that, we'll go into a lot more of this philosophy in depth to where it'll make a lot more sense. It won't just be like, this is just some guy that's trying to fulfill his desires, and sure, that would be nice. Every guy would love to have 2 women, right? Yeah, that wasn't short by any means. I really was actually trying to keep it under 10 minutes. Yeah, that didn't happen. But I do think that we put enough level of detail on here for women to know what I'm looking for in opposite sex sexual interaction.